Calling all authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast with host Robert A. Lane features everything you need to know about narrating your audiobook, but it doesn't stop there. We have special guests lined up from all aspects of the book publishing industry, and we also dive deep into what it takes to be mentally prepared for success as an author and in life. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I am Robert A. Lane. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. If you're first time tuning in, welcome. This is a show where I specialize in focusing on helping nonfiction authors. If you're a nonfiction author, good for you. Whether you're published self-publishing, or maybe you are with a traditional publisher, or maybe you're just getting started. But what I do is tell you how to take that book to the next level. And how you do that is by turning it into an audiobook. And as an audiobook coach and producer, that's what I do by helping nonfiction authors narrate their own audiobook and get them published. Well, first you got to be published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple, the AAA, because that's what the general public usually goes to find audiobooks. Of course, there's other distribution platforms as well, but whatever works for your marketing strategy. But that's what I do and love doing it, love helping authors, and it really is important for you to narrate your own audiobook. Now, today's topic, give it a little bit of a silly title, Your Audiobook, Nice Leg, I See. Little play on words. We're going to dive into that in just a second. But before we do, I always want to do this at the top because sometimes I forget, and I don't want to forget. That is, I have a free audiobook narration reference guide that I want to give to you. It's a free PDF download. Grab it, because it has a lot of great information, tools, techniques, and things that will help you do a better audiobook narration. Because when you're narrating your own audiobook, there's some practical tools about how to do it from a practical standpoint. And also I talk about the emotional side as well, and the energetic side, the things that really make for a great audiobook. So grab that guide. There's a graphic on the screen there that gives you a link as well. If you are just hearing the podcast audio only, the link is bit.ly/narration reference guide. bit.ly/narration reference guide. Pick up your free narration guide. And you can always go to the website at robertlanecoaching.com, which talks about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, and also as a speaker as well. Because when I started my coaching business, I started off as a career coach and life coach, and then expanded it to help authors narrate their own audiobooks. So it's all there at Robert Lane Coaching. All right, so let's get into our topic. Your audiobook, nice leg, I see. Show me your leg. I see. Leg, short for legacy. Nice leg, I see. Say it fast. Legacy, leg, I see. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Legacy is key. Legacy is important. Legacy is something that you as an author need to leave for generations to come, for people to be able to find you, discover you, even be a fan of yours and follow you, even if it's 100 years from now. That's what's great about leaving a legacy. And you should. And I'm really glad as an author, if you've written a book, or maybe you're writing a book, or maybe you even published a book that's a few years old, that's awesome, because you are leaving your legacy. But just having a book, whether it's an ebook or paperback or maybe a hardcover, that's not enough. I believe it's not enough, because we have this great opportunity to take our books to the next level. And that is by turning them into audiobooks. But especially if you're a nonfiction author, you have to narrate your own. And that's the beauty about leaving a legacy. And this is why legacy is so important. I'm going to share with you a personal story, which got me to think about legacy a lot. Back in 2023, in January 2023, my dad passed away. 2 months later, in March, my mom followed suit. So both my parents had passed away. And as you go through the whole process of handling their affairs, their estate, their storage, their property, all that stuff, and you're going through it, it gets you thinking about legacy. And it gets you thinking about how people, we come to this world, we do what we do, we We try to live the best life that we can. And when we're gone, we're gone. Have we left a legacy? Will people remember who we were, what we did? And it got me thinking about that quite a bit, especially when it came to going through their stuff and the storage and all that. And you end up having to decide, do I keep this? Do I sell this off? Do I put this in the dumpster? Do I give some of this other stuff away? It's a tough process. It's a tough process. And my parents did a lot of great things, I feel. My mom was a teacher. She taught fifth grade. My dad worked for Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL. That's the unmanned spacecraft division of NASA. Did a lot of great things. Worked on a lot of spacecraft that, like he worked on Voyager, which is still sending back messages, which is pretty crazy. So there was a lot of things that they did that I'm proud of for them. And of course, I'm sure they were proud of what they were able to contribute. But, once you're gone, you're gone. And does everything that you've done in your life feel like it was worth something? Or when you're gone from this planet and you're off to the other realm, whatever that is, was everything, meaningless? And I don't believe it is. And this is why when you are an author, and which is a great way to leave a legacy, by being an author, by telling your story, whether it's a memoir, especially if it's a memoir. If you've written a story that is personal to you and you've published that, that is a great way to share your legacy. But the beauty about having an audiobook is that you get to tell your legacy in your own voice. You get to talk about your story. If you are doing a memoir and you're telling about growing up, or maybe a traumatic experience that you had, or maybe it was a positive experience that you had, and you're sharing that story and going back to why you wrote that story in the first place, tapping into that core reason. It obviously compelled you to write the book that you ended up publishing for the world to read, right? To read your personal story if it's a memoir. Well, that is leaving a legacy. But again, narrating it in your own voice, telling your story. You are a storyteller, not only in written word, but verbally, audibly. And that is a really, really great thing to be able to leave for generations to come, because people get to hear you. They get to hear your story coming from the source. It's not somebody else telling a story about someone they knew, or, oh yeah, I remember that experience, so-and-so did this and this. No, it's your story. You're telling your unique story in your unique way. And that just makes it even better for the listener and for the reader and for people who follow you and appreciate what you do as an author. And it really does solidify your legacy. And it also solidifies the integrity of your author brand when you do narrate your own audiobook, because again, you are a brand. Remember that. You wrote a book, whether you are a writer professionally and that's all you do and that's how you make a living, which is great. There's a small percentage of people who can actually do that. Or maybe like most of us, me included, as a self-published author who wrote a book and did the publishing myself, self-publishing, of course, going through the proper route and doing it the right way, which is really important. You can't just write a book and just throw it out there. You have to make it as professional as possible, because this is a representation of your author brand. This is your product. So you got to put out the best product out there. But you wrote your book, you did it. You are a professional. You're an entrepreneur. You are an author brand. Obviously, your products being your ebook, your paperback, your hardcover, and especially your audiobook. And everything that encompasses who you are as an author, your personality, your sense of humor, the way you were brought up, your belief systems, your habits, all that stuff. That's what creates your author brand, and your voice, especially your voice, because that's what makes you unique. And that's what I talk about, preserving the integrity of your author brand when you narrate your own audiobook, because no one can tell your story better than you. It's your experience. You wrote it. You lived it, especially if it's a memoir. You lived it. And this is a great way, again, to leave your legacy. It's a great way to leave your legacy so people can hear you tell your story the way you want it to be heard, the way it was intended to be heard. And there you go. That's really great. I love listening to authors when they narrate their own audiobook because I hear them telling their story in their unique style. And the other beauty about you narrating your own audiobook is you develop this intimate connection with that listener because that listener feels like they're talking or you're talking to them directly. It's like you're both sitting at a table, maybe at your favorite coffee house or who knows where, anywhere. And you're sitting there and you're telling this great story, this book that you've written. And that other person who is the person that's listening to your audiobook feels like you're just sitting there together like friends, best friends sharing a story. It's a great way to connect with your audience. And the audiobook world, as I've mentioned before on these podcasts, about how it is growing and expanding, and it continues to grow and expand at an exponential rate. And if you don't have any of your books as an audiobook, you really need to do that because you're missing out on this whole market of people who actually go and they get audiobooks first before they even look at the ebook, paperback, or hardcover. But if they like what you do and they love how you sound and they are enjoying the story that you're telling, they'll buy your other products. They'll go and they'll say, hey, man, I want to get that ebook. Or what I do, like I'll get the paperback, especially if it's a great story and there's really some really good information that I want to remember. I'll grab that paperback and I got my highlighter and I'm highlighting in that paperback because I'm listening and it's just, wow, this is really great. So it does help in regards to revenue, okay, when you do have your book as an audiobook. Now remember, you need to voice your own audiobook because it is your story, okay? It is your story. And you do need to leave a legacy. Again, it is great to leave your legacy in written form. That's awesome, but take it to that next level. When you're leaving your legacy in your own voice, it just takes it to another level where people can just really just get so involved in what you're telling in your story. And the key factor that makes that story so compelling and so engaging, especially for that listener, or they're just like on the other edge of their seat, just, wow, this is really just such a great story. What makes it so great is that it is in your voice, again, that you're saying it the way that you intended it to be heard. And that leaves such a great legacy by you as the author sharing your own story. All right. So again, legacy is so important. It is so important. I mentioned when I started this podcast, of course, telling you about when my parents passed away and about them leaving a legacy. There's an old recording that I have of my parents. This is before they even had kids, and they were goofing around with this old reel-to-reel tape player. This is back in, I don't know, probably like 1962 or something, a long time ago. But it's really enjoyable to hear them goofing off, having fun. They did this fake mock interviewing each other, and it was really funny. It was so off the cuff, not scripted, and it was just really enjoyable. And I feel very lucky, and I'm incredibly grateful and appreciative that this recording still exists. I was able to transfer it over and digitize it so I have it, so I won't lose it. And of course, being an audio guy, I was able to clean it up and make it sound a little bit better than the original recording. But it's like, that's a legacy. They left a legacy. Now, they also did leave a legacy, maybe not in book form, but as my mom being a teacher, she left her legacy through the students that she taught. And my dad, working for NASA, JPL, he left his legacy by having the spacecraft that he worked on. Every single one of them worked flawlessly. So he kind of had his legacy in one of those spacecraft. But you, as an author, you get to leave your legacy in your own voice. That's good. That's good. We're going to take a quick break. I do want to tell you something exciting that's going on with Robert Lane Coaching. I want to hit about that. I also want to talk about maybe things that are stopping you from narrating your own audiobook. We're going to go over that as well. By the way, if you do want to join in, we are streaming live on the Bull Brave TV network. And If you'd like to participate in the show, if you have any questions, you can always call in. We have that phone number up on the screen there. And also, if you want to chat or put a comment in, love to hear from you. All right. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. We talk about audiobooks. We talk about the book industry. I have special guests, which I have been having some really good guests lately. So go check out the archives, man. There's some good people. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Our topic today is your audiobook. Nice leg, I see. We're talking about leaving your legacy. Legacy. And how important it is for you as an author to leave your legacy, not only in written form, but in audio form by narrating your own audiobook. It's such a great way for people to hear you. I mean, again, I've used this as examples. Wouldn't it have been great to have someone like, Abraham Lincoln narrating his memoirs in his own voice? You can hear him from the source tell it. Or Leonardo da Vinci talking about art, right? Coming from the source instead of reading a book about somebody who wrote about that person. You're getting it secondhand. It's great to hear it firsthand. And that's what's so great about the technology that we have today about being able to narrate your own audiobook, because we can do it, right? We can do it. You can leave your legacy in your own voice. It's a great thing. And again, I'm a firm believer that all nonfiction authors need to narrate their own audiobook because it is your story. No one can tell that story better than you, not another narrator. Great narrators out there, of course, who will technically do a great job. But when it comes to your story, especially if it's a memoir or you are, again, telling something that's personal, you lived it. You experienced it. No one else did. So there are subtleties and nuances that you're going to present in your audiobook narration that another narrator, no matter how professional they are not going to be able to catch on that. Because it's still going to be their interpretation as opposed to yours. That's why it's so important for you as a nonfiction author to narrate your own audiobook. And again, AI is cutting corners. Don't go the AI route. That's just you're cheapening your author brand, and you're doing your business and your brand a disservice by cheapening your audiobook. And if you claim, like if you did some kind of voice cloning and you say you did it, you're lying to your audience, and that's not cool. So preserve the integrity of your author brand by narrating your own audiobook. All right. Now, I am excited about what I'm doing with Robert Lane Coaching from the audiobook coaching program that I teach. We're making some changes, and I'm really excited about it. That I'll be talking more about it in detail, but just wanted to give you a heads up that I do have a program where I take you step by step through the entire process of setting up your own recording space, teaching you how to do a great narration, doing all the editing and post-production work to your audiobook that needs to be done, which it does. Don't think it doesn't, because it does. And then getting you published on Audible, Amazon, Apple, and any other distribution platform that you want to be on, and doing that for you, okay? Basically, I am your support system and your coach and your editor, anything I can be to help you through the entire process. But I'm also going to be doing some other things. So some people just need editing. So there's editing services that I'm offering with Robert Lane Coaching. There is also, we're going to be offering the actual coaching program as something that you can get if you just want the program without the coaching. You can do that as well. We're putting a new packages together. So that'll be coming your way. I'll be talking more about that. And we'll be making those changes on the Robert Lane Coaching website as well. So you'll be able to check all that out. But I'm just excited. Wanted to share that with you. Another thing that I do as a coach, because as I mentioned earlier, I did start my business as a career coach and life coach, is that I do now go out doing speaking engagements to corporations, organizations, conferences, associations, community groups, and sharing that aspect of what I do as a career coach and life coach, which has been thrilling to meet so many people. And if you have an event, by the way, and you need a speaker, just reach out to me. Shoot me an email, go to my website, send me a message. I'd love to speak to you and talk to you about whatever event you're doing. And hey, I might be able to come out and speak for you. That'd be cool. Or again, if you are an author and you're part of an author club, group, writing group, and you have meetings and you will want somebody to show up to talk about the audiobook world, let me know. Let me know. We'll work something out. All right. Okay. So what is stopping you from narrating your own audiobook? Okay, that's an important question, because I hear a lot of reasons. One of them is, well, I thought you have to have a professional do it. Not necessarily. Again, as a nonfiction author, it's your story. This is why I coach people like yourself through the process of how to do it, because no one can interpret that story better than you. You wrote it, you lived it, you breathed it. That's your story. All right. The other thing I hear is another thing about costs. And there is a cost involved, of course, with creating an audiobook. But again, when it comes to leaving your legacy, which is the main focus and theme of today's podcast, the best way to leave your legacy is to do it in your own voice. And don't use cost as an excuse to not do something. There's another thing that I talk about when I do my speaking engagements, and that is, if you need help, get it. It's worth it. It's worth it. For example, as an author myself, right, when I published my book, Lights, Action, You, I was working in the entertainment industry for over 30 plus years. When I left the industry, I started Robert Lane Coaching as a career coach and life coach. And people would come up to me and say, oh man, you worked so many years in the entertainment business. You must have stories that you could tell. Oh, behind the scenes stuff. And I thought about that. I kind of laughed at first, but I thought about that. And I thought, that's not such a bad idea. And maybe I can share some stories. But now, as a career coach and life coach, I want to take this book, if I write this book, one step further. And that is, let me give some tools and techniques and life lessons and things for people to absorb and take with them. So the book wouldn't be just only entertainment stories, but with each story, there is something valuable that they can take from it. And that was the catalyst that got me to publish my book. And when I talk about, if you need help, get it. Because this was my first publication. I wasn't a professional writer, wasn't really sure about the whole process of what it took to write a book, or to write and publish a book, especially when you're self-publishing. So I met a great book coach. I hired this book coach and his company. And yeah, it was worth it. If you need help, get it. The cost was worth it. I am so glad I did, and I'm glad that the book got published. And what he taught me was not only how to outline and format and do everything to write the book, but he also put me in touch with all the people that you need to do your book the right way. The editor, the proofreader, the formatter, the cover designer, all these pieces of the puzzle that you need to create a great book. If you need help, get it. That's my biggest piece of advice. If you need help, get it. Don't be afraid to invest in your author brand, because in the long run, it's so worth it. I'm glad I spent the money to hire that book coach. I'm glad I spent the money to hire all the other people that were part of my team, basically, to help me publish this book. Because when I published that book, it did hit #1 bestseller on Amazon in 9 different categories when it was released, at least for a little while. That was cool. Wasn't expected, but pretty cool. So, and it's not just about that. It's also about having, again, leaving a legacy. Now, the legacy is in written form, but of course, being an audio guy, yep, you better believe it. I did the audiobook version as well because I wanted to leave my legacy in my own voice, because these stories, right? I got all these entertainment stories, behind the scenes stories of working in the business. I experienced it. I lived it. So another narrator who may not be familiar with the business, again, they'll do a great narration, but there's subtle nuances about what I went through and the stories that I'm telling that narrator's not going to pick up on. They're just not. And it's not going to be in my unique style. Just like with you as an author, your unique style, your unique delivery, the way you talk, the way you present yourself. That's, again, such a crucial part of your author brand. And remember, that's what allows you to stand out in the crowd. That allows you to stand out so your book doesn't sound generic. People get these professional narrators and like a lot of them just kind of sound the same. It's funny. It's like when I listen to the radio and I hear a band and then I hear another band and then I hear the third band and they all sound the same. Like I can't even tell. Like you could just interchange their band names. Oh, just, assign them to each band's song, and you know what? It would all fit because it all sounds the same. It sounds generic. And you don't want your audiobook to sound that way. You want it to sound unique. And the way to do that is, of course, narrating your own book, because you're putting your unique stamp onto it. So going back to that question, what is stopping you from narrating your own audiobook? You don't have to be a professional. The authors that I work with in my audiobook coaching program, they're not professional speakers. But I'll tell you, they did a fantastic job. They did a great job. And it's not just because of the coaching, it's because of their ability. And why they did such a great job is because they were confident. They had confidence, they believed in themselves, but really the key factor is always being tapped into the core reason of why they wrote that book in the first place. Why was it so important for you to tell that story? Why is it so important for you to tell that story that you had to write a book about it and publish it for the world to read? That obviously was pretty important to you. What is your core reason? Now, I'll tell you, a lot of the memoirs that I work with, I've gotten a lot of authors who've written memoirs and they're telling their personal story. And I ask them that question. So what was the catalyst? Why was this so important for you to share this story? And I would say a huge percent, maybe 90% even, of the authors that I work with have said, I have this story to tell. And it was obviously personal, but I feel that if I put my story out there, that someone who may have gone through a similar situation that I have can connect with what I have to say. And maybe I can help someone else with whatever they're dealing with. So, for example, I've had actually a couple of authors who have talked about their cancer journey, and other people who may be going through that can relate to their story, and maybe they find it inspirational. Maybe they find your book as a support system. Those are the reasons why they wrote their book and why it was so important for them to share their personal story, because they want to help others. And that's a great reason. That is a good core reason. That is purpose. That is your why. And that's a good one. And that's a good one. Honestly, when I wrote my book, again, from the career coach and life coach aspect, the reason why I wrote what I did and shared the particular stories from the entertainment world that I shared in my book is because I wanted to help people. Because there were things that I went through that, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what business you're in, whether it's corporate or just a small business, doesn't matter, because we all go through the same thing. We all experience the same thing. We experience bad bosses. We experience stress. We experience fear. There's a lot of things that we all experience, and it doesn't really matter what type of job you have. And realizing this, of course, coming from the coaching background, is, well, here are some tools to deal with stress. Here are some tools to be better at time management. Here are some tools to deal with fear. Here are some tools to build confidence. Lots of things, right? So again, my core reason, if I asked myself that question, is I want to help people. And that was my reason for writing the book. Yeah, I want to share some stories and make it fun and entertaining. But really, the core of it, the value of the book, is being able to help others. And that is a great core reason. So always be tapped in your core reason. And the reason why you are tapped in to that core reason is when you do your audiobook delivery, that passion, that energy, that emotion comes out. It comes out in your delivery. And that is what makes an audiobook from just being generic or average or mediocre or just maybe even boring to taking it to the next level, where it's sounding so fantastic that you really are keeping that listener on the edge of their seat from opening credits to closing credits, because it's that compelling, because it's that engaging, because you put your unique spin on it, which is your personality. And again, what's your personality? It's part of your author brand. That's what makes you you, and that is what allows you to stand out in the crowd. All right. I do want to talk more about some false beliefs, why you should narrate your audiobook, why this is part of leaving your legacy, because legacy is very important. We'll get back to that when we take our quick break here. Don't go away. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. More information coming your way, man. Don't go away.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. Yeah, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. Appreciate you hanging out. Our topic is your audiobook. Nice leg, I see. Leg, I see. See, say it fast. You figure it out. Legacy is what we're talking about, which is so important for you to leave. And as an audiobook, it's such a great way to leave a legacy for sure. Quickly, again, if you are interested in finding out about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, if you're thinking about narrating your own audiobook, which I hope you are, because again, especially as a nonfiction author, you should. That's really the best way to share your story in your own voice. Get in touch with me because I'd love to speak with you. I'd love to speak with you. And the first thing that, which is an easy thing to do, is just scheduling a call with me. There's a graphic on the screen that has a link for booking a call. Schedule a call with me. I'd love to talk about your book and tell you more in detail about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program and how I work with you one-on-one through the entire process of getting that audiobook recorded, narrated, and published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. So book a call. It's that simple. It's bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. All right, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. ONBOARDING. All right. I'd love to speak with you. Love to speak with you. And again, I mentioned earlier about I am restructuring the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. Actually, now would be a really great time to get in before I do a full restructure of the business. And there's going to be a lot of changes. So if you want to get in and get the full VIP package, now is the time to do it. So book that call. All right. All right. So again, we're talking about leaving your legacy. The question I asked in the last segment, of course, is what's stopping you from narrating your own audiobook. I did mention about confidence, right? You got to be confident in yourself and believe in yourself that you have what it takes, because you do have what it takes to do a great audiobook narration. I did mention about cost, but again, as I mentioned, as an example of when I published my book, it was worth it. It was worth it. I'm glad I made that investment because I am investing in my author brand. I'm investing in my business. I am moving my business forward by making key decisions that are helping put out a great product as an author and as my brand, because you are the brand. Remember, you are the brand. So move forward with doing things that'll help your author brand. And the old catchphrase I say a lot, I don't think I've said it in a while, but I'm going to say it now, and that is, you are the CEO of you. So the decisions that you make need to move your business forward, because the buck stops with you. Make good decisions. Don't cut corners. Always go for the best quality possible. You should always do that. All right. So again, crushing false beliefs, right? We want to crush those false beliefs. Thinking that you can't do it, that's a false belief. You can. Thinking you don't have a good voice, that's a false belief, because you do. Remember, your voice is part of your branding. Your voice is part of your author brand. That your voice is part of what identifies you as a unique individual, and that, again, allows you to stand out in the crowd. Not too long ago, actually, it was just a few days ago, I was speaking to an author who, she has an accent. I believe, I'm not sure if she's from, she may be from Europe, she may be from the Middle East. I'm not really sure, but she has an accent, and she even brought that up as a reason why that's stopping her from narrating her own audiobook. She was like, got an accent. No one wants to hear this accent. And that is a false belief, because first of all, I understand you clearly. There is no language barrier. I'm not struggling to understand what you are trying to say. Of course, as a coach, and again, all the years that I've worked in the entertainment business and worked in radio and done voiceover and all that stuff and all that training that I did for many, many, many years, I can definitely help you with enunciations and things of that nature. But you know what? Overall, her voice was fine. It was fine. And you know what? That is part of who she is. That is an identifiable factor of her author brand. And it wasn't something that was so discerning. Oh, God, I can't listen to that. It wasn't like that at all. It wasn't like that at all. Matter of fact, if you do have an accent, love it, embrace it, because that is part of who you are. That's part of who you are. That's part of your author brand. And I think she will sound fine. Because ultimately, when you do your audiobook, you have an accent, that's okay. It's part of your personality. It's part of what makes you you. But it's the content. It's the content that means so much. What you have to say, what is the message that you are delivering? That's what people really latch onto. It's your story. Again, especially if it's a memoir, if you're sharing something that's personal, boy, that really sucks people in. It draws them in to want to hear you tell your story. I've said this a million times. I coach authors and they're doing their audiobook, and as we record, they send me their audio files because, again, being an audio editor and everything that I do offer the post-production side of what you need for your audiobook. So I get to do all the editing, and I'm listening, and when I do the final quality control pass, that's where I really get to listen to their story, and I'm hearing their narration. And I get pulled into their story every single time. And I listen to this stuff all the time. But they still draw me in. And that is just a testament about how good they're able to tell their story. And you don't need to be a professional speaker. You can do it. And that's what's so great. And I get excited about it. And then I tell them, when are you sending your next chapters for me to edit? Because I want to hear you narrate the next part of what you're telling. I'm so into your story right now. It's a great thing. It's a great feeling. So again, have that confidence. You do have what it takes to do it. All right. So confidence. Again, don't let an accent stop you. And again, as a coach and as a producer, if I talk to somebody and there is an issue with their voice, I'll tell you flat out. Okay. It's not about trying to sign another client and get them into my program. It's about making sure that you have the best product possible. But I have to say, I've yet to have to turn an author away because of their voice. Hasn't happened. Hasn't happened. I've been doing this for a few years now, and I've never had to turn an author away for that. That's just another testament about how great you can narrate your own audiobook. Okay. So what are some other things that are stopping you? What are creating barriers for you from narrating your audiobook? What are some of those things? Is it fear? Because a lot of times it does stem from some kind of fear. One popular fear, I should say, that I encounter from authors and just from other people that I've spoken with who are like, I don't know if I want to do that. It's that fear. It's like the fear of public speaking. Some people have a fear of this. When you put this microphone in front of them, they get nervous and they clench up and they're like, oh, I can't do it. Even if they're by themselves in their own room, in their own recording space, or even if they're in a recording studio, you're in your own little space. It's very nerve-wracking for them. So what is causing that fear? Get down to the root cause, figure it out. What is making you stop? What is putting up that wall, that barrier? How can you knock that barrier down? Get to the root cause. Because we work on that as I do with authors. We work on building confidence and believing in yourself and loving your voice. And a lot of times the excuse that I hear, and it is an excuse when I hear people say, I hate my voice. You shouldn't hate your voice. You should love your voice and embrace this wonderful sound that comes out of your body, because that is part of who you are. That's part of your author brand. And when I mentioned about accents, that's part of who you are. That's your voice. It's okay. I get it though. I mean, like when first time I heard my voice, I was, oh, that's awful. But you know what? That's who I am. This is me. This is part of my author brand, and I embrace it. I love it. This is who I am. And you need to feel the same way. All right, you need to feel the same way. So don't let barriers stop you from doing something, and it's worth the investment. Again, we're talking about the theme of today's show, which is legacy. To be able to leave your legacy in your own voice for people to discover for generations to come. You're leaving your imprint on the world. What a great thing. What a great thing that we have the ability to do that. Maybe I'm spoiled now, because now I want to hear authors narrate their own audiobook. I want to hear them. I want to hear it from the source. And it's great that we have the ability to do that. It is such a great way to, again, preserve the integrity of your author brand and to preserve your legacy. I mean, if anything, it's a great way to have your family generation and generation to be able to go back and hear, I want to hear, great grandpa or great grandma tell their story about when they were growing up and whatever your book is about. And it's great so that people can actually hear your voice. Leaving a legacy is a wonderful thing. Again, it's fantastic to have it in written form. Yeah, it's great to have the book. It really is. But boy, take it to that next level. Take it to that next level when they can hear you tell your story. That is fantastic. Now, I know another reason, or I should say excuse, it really is an excuse, it's a false belief. It's too confusing, it's too overwhelming. There's too many moving parts. I can't figure it out. If you need help, get it. That's why I say that. If you need help, get it. I'd love to be able to help you record and narrate your audiobook. And you're right, there is a lot of moving parts. And it can be confusing and it can be overwhelming. It really can. But if you have somebody that's there, that's your support system, that's your safety net, that's your coach, your mentor, your accountability partner, that's there with you through the entire step of the way, through the entire process, it just makes it so much easier. Because the goal of what I do to help authors is to take all the overwhelm and craziness and just let's lift that weight off your shoulders. Just worry about doing a great narration and I'll do the heavy lifting for you. Because what I care about is that you do a great audiobook narration. And that's pretty much it. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. Let's see. Let's talk about, you know what, let me just give you a rundown of what it takes to do an audiobook. We're going to do that when we come back from this last break. And I'll just give you, in case you're not familiar with what the process is and why it can seem overwhelming, but I'll give you what the steps are, and then I'll tell you how I help make it a lot easier for you. All right. So don't go away. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. We'll be right back.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back. We are here with you, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. Really appreciate you hanging out and enjoying the show. Again, legacy is our topic. Legacy. See, say it fast. Legacy. Yeah, you want to leave your legacy. Now, I do want to share with you the process of what it takes to record an audiobook. It may sound a little bit overwhelming, but there are a lot of moving parts, and that's true. Okay, so it's more than just hitting a record button and just narrating away. Okay, there's setup and preparation, not only for your own recording space. If you are going to record your own audiobook, I highly recommend that you set up your own space, just because you're in charge of your time. You can go to another professional studio, which is fine, but you make sure that they know what they're doing in regards to what the audiobook specifications are. Because I worked with an author who had published several books, and he came to me and we did one of his books, but the book before, he went to a professional studio and he did all this work, spent all those hours recording his audiobook, and then he uploaded it to Audible, Amazon, and Apple, and it got rejected. because it didn't meet the exact specifications for publication, even at a professional studio. So you got to make sure they know what they're doing, because boy, that's a bad thing, all right? Because he ended up having to spend a lot of extra money and time and effort to fix his audiobook. And I've done that too with other authors as well. They've approached me and say, hey, my audiobook got rejected. Can you fix these files? And they'd send me their files, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, I can fix them. So I did. We get them fixed, and they get published. But you don't want to have to go through that. You want it published right the first time. All right. So that's part of the setup and preparation part of it. So just to give you an overview with what I do with the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program, which will go through the process and explain to you what it takes to create an audiobook. We'll break it down this way. Setup and preparation really is the first phase. So when you record an audiobook, each piece of your book is a separate audio file. So for example, your opening credits is one file, your closing credits is another audio file. Every chapter in your book is an audio file. So if you have 20 chapters in your book, that's 20 separate audio files. Then other parts of your book, like your dedication, your introduction, your foreword, your prologue, your epilogue, your acknowledgments, any other sections of your book are all separate audio files. So your audiobook will, could be from on a minimum of maybe 20 separate audio files to 50 or 60. I worked on it was 58 chapters of one book that I worked on. I was 58 audio files. Now that sounds overwhelming, but you know what, honestly, it's really not so bad, because when you're able to break it up into sections like that, because that's how you deliver your audiobook in these sections, it does make it easier for narration, because you don't feel that overwhelm of, wow, man, I got to sit here and spend hours like narrating on one giant audio file. It doesn't work that way. And you're going to get tired, and you're going to get fatigued, and your voice is going to start to not sound good. And then there's inconsistencies with energy and emotion and just with levels and all that stuff. So you don't want to do it that way. So actually doing it in sections does make it easier. And my other suggestion, of course, for authors is just do it in linear fashion. Just do it in order. Just makes it easier for you as you refamiliarize yourself with your book. The other thing about setup and preparation is, if you want to be published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple, you got to go through the process of setting up your account in ACX to be able to get your book published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. And that alone can be a hassle, because ACX is not the easiest user-friendly place to do your stuff. There's a lot of things you need to do, but that's part of what I do as a coach to help you through that process. The other thing you have to think about is file management. Where are you putting your files? How are you labeling your files? I have a very specific file naming convention that I have the authors do, so that there is no question what this audio file is, and there's no confusion. And if you do your file management properly, you're good to go. Of course, the next phase, of course, is what does it take to do a great narration? How to be compelling and engaging, how to be conversational, and most importantly, how to be authentic. You got to be your true authentic self. And so we just dive into the tools and techniques and things that you need from both the practical standpoint, mic placement, body posture, hydration, levels, all that stuff, to things like the intangibles, the emotion, the energy, the things you can't physically touch but you emotionally feel. That is the secret sauce, by the way, of doing a great audiobook, is bringing those emotions into your narration. And it's something that you don't have to force, because it does come out. It comes out naturally. And I teach you how to do that. And of course, now, as you're recording your audiobook, you're sending your audio files for the editor. If you're working with me, that's what I do. The coaching hat comes off, the audio editor's hat comes on, and I go through your audiobook in real time with a fine-tooth comb, and I will remove any kind of sounds, mouth noises, weird sounds, anomalous sounds that can be removed. They will be removed. But what's really important is I listen. If there is a mispronounced word, if there is a slurred word, if there's something that just doesn't sound quite right and it needs to be redone, I want to catch it, and I'll send you an email, and it'll say, here are the sentences that need to be redone. You send those to me, I insert them back in, we're good to go. It's great. But again, the most important part is making sure your audio files meet the exact specifications for publication. Okay, they got to meet the exact specs, or you will get rejected. And what I do in my program, of course, is that I will upload your audiobook Sorry about the technical glitch. My wireless mic took a dive. Love live podcast. Anyway, so just to continue where I left off about the editing process, making sure everything sounds pristine, that it's done to the exact specifications, and then I do all the uploading for you. So if there are any issues, I know about it, I can fix them, and I guarantee that you'll be published right the first time. And that's basically the process. So what I want you to focus on is just doing a great narration. It's that simple. All right. It's that simple. And the first step, really, and I do this with all potential authors who want to work with me, book a call. Go to my website, robertlanecoaching.com, and click on the schedule a call button. There's a lot of book a call buttons. It goes to my personal calendar. You will talk with me directly, and you do work with me directly. I don't send you off to, some intern. You work with me. All right. I'd love to hear from you. Book your call. robertlanecoaching.com has all the information about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer. We're just about out of time. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. My last assignment to you is when you're out and about in the world, smile at a stranger, say hello to them, give them a compliment, because that small gesture of kindness can make the world a difference in somebody's life. So be a life changer. I'm Robert A. Lane. Again, robertlanecoaching.com will tell you everything about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, and also as a speaker as well. Click that speaking tab. All right. Have a great, great week. We'll be talking to you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're streaming live, by the way, on the Bold Brave TV network.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode of Your Book, Your Voice, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.